Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the live broadcast of the Heino Cup race Dbr Heino Cup race number 4. It's our first time casting the Heino Cup. I'm Nathan Garvin, be your host for today. We're out here for 12 laps on the Duchy Estate course out in the Yorkshire UCI 2019 World out on Zwift. It's going to be fast and fierce. We've got let me see here. There is 100 riders in the A category currently signed up, and in the women's race there are 47 of the elites out on Zwift here. 40.5 kilometers in total. Going to be throwing down 460 riders between all of the categories. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go to the start of the A category race. Now, this is a tracked series. We are into race number 4. And DBR has been doing an amazing job, actually, from what I can see over on ZwiftPower.com. If you want to check out all the results from past races as well as the live results for this race, make sure to head on over to ZwiftPower.com and take a look at that. According to the current standings, though, there are actually team standings, which is pretty cool. Kirchner Cycling sitting in first place with 194 points, 18 results in total. Danish Bike Riders, 24 results and 155 points. And Canyon ZCC chasing hard, it looks like, in that third place. Only 6 results, but 144 points. So watch out for Canyon ZCC. I guess the whole squad is showing up today from what I saw over on the socials, actually. So cool to see that they are really committed here with this series. In the A category, it looks like Steven Kirchmer is currently winning the series with 90 points. Igor Kulps for Heino is there with 63 for third. And Johannes Herman for Kirchmer Recycling as well for the third place. Lionel Viasen, though, for Canyon ZC chasing hard there. Actually tied there for that placing. Then in the women's category, Heino RT, Cecilia Hansen riding for Heino RT, currently tied for first place with Vicky Whitelaw, who is her teammate actually for Heino Racing Team. So it looks like a tie right now there with 3 events in. Interesting to see. And then Vicky Neaton for the Brat Pack there, BRT. Looking for to hold down third place. Turbo with Helen McKay and Jennifer Reel are in the 4th and 5th position right now. If you do want to interact over on social media, you can do so. Make sure to jump on in to the broadcast and go ahead and have your say on what you think is going to happen in the race today. Let's go ahead and jump right on into the racing as the elite men have jumped out on course. We'll be jumping in with the women here in just a moment as well, as they have just gotten out on course as well. But it looks like as we head through into this sharp downhill section, this is this course is really interesting. We did say it was an extremely punchy course, and because of the way that this course tends to have a lot of very quick up and down out on Zwift here. So be watching out for a lot of very sharp attacks, followed up by people trying to sit in and find their way into a draft as quickly as they possibly can out here on course here. But we are seeing for the front end of the race here, it looks like taking over. It does look like KRT actually making their way to the front here. A lot of super heavy hitters here, but it does look like it's going to be James Hodges as usual. Brett Boniface also taking over toward the front, it looks like now, as they round out the first little downhill section. They head into the first little uphill, 2% uphill gradient currently right now from what we can see. Now Hodges here going off the front here, 6.2 watts per kilogram, 148 beats per minute. Now I didn't see Hodges in the top 5 at all for the overall series, but I do see Ollie Jones here actually for Canyon ZCC for a very early morning here for Jones. Interesting to see that he's jumping into the race today for a very early start actually. So cool to see Jones as well as the rest of the Canyon ZCC boys. Now on the women's side of things, Canyon ZCC has also shown up as well. I do see Buchholz starting out now, as well as Rigamorto actually over on the women's side of things. We will be covering their race as well. And as you can see here, they're jumping out on the course onto that sharp downhill section we just saw the men take on just a moment ago. It does look like we got S. Bird here from the Wahoo Esports team as well. So as far as from what I'm hearing, this is the race when it comes to the elite women's side of things to be watching out for. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out here. As, you know, this is kind of the warm-up to the Pro-Am realities that are going to be happening, I think, and the semi-pro racing that is going to be taking place, I think, out on Zwift in the next couple of months here, and watching what's going on here with these community races like this, I think is going to give us a good idea about who's been getting ready for this Swift season. We're going to head to the front here. It looks like Canyon ZCC looking to take over. What's interesting in women's races, a lot of times we do see some early breaks able to stick a little bit more because reality is they tend to be a little bit more aggressive. No offense to the men, but they lay it on the line, that's for sure. Toward the front end now, Canyon ZCC taking over again here, it looks like, for the women's side of things. Kristen Falk now, and it is also going to be Revo now really starting to push on the pressure. But it's Cecilia Hansen for Heino, the current series leader, who is tied up with the series lead with Vicky Whitelaw, her teammate, now taking over toward the front as well. It does look like a lot of changing of the guard, though, at the front here as everybody kind of tries to find their spot. Let's jump back in with the men. We'll be covering both of the categories for the elite men as well as the women today, so we'll be keeping up with all of them. But the men now are heading into each and every lap. We will have this uphill grind. It does look like Ollie Jones here, 5.3 watts per kilogram, keeping it steady. Not really any kind of attacks coming from him just yet. Now at the front, Hodges. No, there were some orange numbers from another rider here. We'll see if we can make our way to the front here. It does look like it's going to be Bertelsen here that was taken over at the front there, coming out of Denmark. But that's about 17th place. So everybody really trying to find their position, not get dropped off, as it's been an extremely fast start so far. Cops here currently sitting in second place overall in the Heino Cup right now, sitting, and it looks like pretty far back actually, 4.2 watts per kilogram, looking for a wheel. Ollie Jones really resting up, it looks like, toward the back end of the pack, looking for a good position. Now 12 laps, it's going to be a very interesting 12 laps here. If you're unfamiliar with this course, it's a very quick course. We're going to be taking a right-hand turn now here, and there's going to be a pretty sharp uphill gradient. This is each and every lap pretty much where we're going to be looking for the main attacks. Dempster here, Leandro Messinil, Adam Zimmerman. Look at all of the names here in the Heino Cup here today. The who's who of bike racing in the community of Zwift racing has definitely shown up, and we see Hodges going off the front there. That's the KRT kit. Now you can see the name there, James Hodges, Chris Racing Team. Well-known and very experienced racer. I think he's got probably 400 plus races out on Zwift. Don't quote me on that. We'll double check Zwift Power real quick to make sure that we got that right here. But one of the most experienced racers, knowing exactly where to attack. Little 2% uphill gradient here. He's got the gap, 3 seconds. You can see that on the right-hand side of the screen right now. 6.4 watts per kilogram. Continuous effort here. And this is how you got to make these breaks happen out on this course. He's got 4 seconds, actually. Will they let this go? Now, they most likely will just kind of let him dangle off the front, because the reality is that this course, because of the sharp uphills and downhills, with such a large pack of elite racers, I'm not sure that this pack is going to, they'll give him this little bit of wiggle room, but it's really just going to end up taking and zapping the energy here of the rider that's off the front, that is James Hodges. The cake man, as we like to call him, for those who don't know, for the longest time, Hodges had in his name, the cake is a lie, and that's where that comes from, is that for the longest time, that was not actually his name out on Zwift, was a cake is a lie. So if you're ever wondering where the cake joke is coming from, that's where it's coming from here. But it looks like the cake is powering today, and got a couple extra watts from the glycogen loads from the cake here. We'll see if he can make it happen. I mean, he's got 7 seconds. They're kind of allowing this to go. 3.6 on the front from Bertelsen, as you can see. There's the pack chasing him down just a little ways back here. Again, though, there's such sharp undulations, and he's going to have to be so consistent. Look, now throwing in the tower a little bit, 1.8 watts per kilogram. Looks like it's come back together. So, well, we'll be coming back together in just a moment. The catch will be made, it looks like. His Fusion's on the front, 5.9 on the front there. Lopez is there, also coming out of Spain, it looks like. Larson, as well as Robinson from the BRT team. There it is, and the catch is made. Aaron, good to see you over on YouTube. Bobby Davo as well, some cheering going on there. Good to see all the women jumping in and cheering on their teams out on the race course here today. Bobby Devo, I'm seeing out there. Shout out to you. Carla Williams as well. They're all shouting out the Revo team. Stacy Larkin's there as well. Good to see Stacy Larkin and Carla Williams. Thanks a lot for jumping on into the broadcast, and glad to cover for the women's and cheer on Team Revo right alongside you as well. So looking through here, though, at the front, it looks like Jarhead. Watch out for Marlene Jarhead. He's in the race here, riding for Team SZ. Very strong rider here coming out of Sweden, riding for that Swedish team here. And looks like she's sitting in at about 8th place right now, 4.3 watts per kilogram. The initial breaks have happened. Let's go ahead and take a look back real quickly here and see who has fallen off. Well, really, actually looking through, most of the women have been able to hang on so far. At 148 beats per minute here, we're seeing ABS here for a team draft out of Canada. Wilson there for Vixen now, but here's a little bit of a break that is starting to happen. It looks like the pressure is on at the front. It does look like Watmore, as well as one other rider riding for Real Deal, has off the back in the women's race here. Looks like the draft rider here just getting into the draft, barely. Good to see that she's able to jump back on here. Moving back toward the front, though. Who is pushing the pace is the question. It does look like it may be the Swiss national champion, actually, that's really starting to push some of the women off the back end of this pack here. Bolko's now sitting in, German national champion as well, toward the front. Third wheel, making sure that nobody's able to go anywhere just as of yet. As the men head back into their second lap onto the serious sections of the course, it is 6% uphill gradient. There looks like the pressure is on with some orange numbers toward the front. And it is going to be Boniface again. No, actually, now you can always recognize that avatar, and that's Lionel V. Austin here for Canyon CCC with the hair and the glasses there. But it's Boniface on the counterattack into the 2% uphill gradient, and this is the false flat section, and everybody's going to be kind of on the back foot after that initial kick into the 8% gradient. It kind of puts those heart rates over threshold into a need for recovery moment, and Boniface maybe in the reserves, making sure that he can try and get away onto this section where the speed is and the power is just going to matter a little bit more because of that 2% uphill gradient. You can see on the mini map here exactly where he's at, taking that right-hand turn into the sprint section now. A little bit of a downhill now, carrying some speed. 12 seconds at this point. I wonder if anybody's going to try and go across. Interesting situation here, as Bertelsen, 16 seconds. They're just letting Boniface go. He's 16 seconds gone at this point, and if he can get into a steady rhythm, but that's the question. How steady can Boniface be? 5.3 watts per kilogram we're seeing from him after an initial attack up into the 10s. He's got a hold for a lot of laps at this point. We're looking at a total of 40.5 kilometers. We are only 8 in. This is going to be a 30-plus kilometer effort, solo TT. We're looking at probably 40 minutes of effort from Boniface here at this point. Cohen here coming out of the US of A, 21 seconds back, leading things out for the main pack, as you can see here. And the pack is all together. There's a lot of firepower here and a lot of speed. I'm not sure this is going to work out for Boniface. We're on a flatter section of the course where he will be able to just match watts for watts and speeds for speed. But the reality is, on these downhill sections, this negative 3% gradient, watch how quickly this gap that he's opened up will come back on those sharper sections of the course here. Be interesting to see if this is able to stick, or if somebody tries to go across and bridge across. You know, if they do want to try and make something happen here, any of these riders want to go across the Boniface, it could work out for a breakaway, but they're going to have to bridge that gap. And it's one of those more interesting bridges because it's a very risky one. You know, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, just bump it up to 10, 11 watts per kilogram, then hold at 8 to 9 for a little while. You're there within about 10, 15 seconds. But at this kind of a gap that we're looking at here, we're going to see if we can find our way to the front end of the pack and see exactly where the gap is at here at this point. But it looks like we are going out to 16 seconds. That's a little bit more to deal with here at this point. But now up in this 3% uphill gradient, Hodge is now kicking at 10 watts per kilogram, looking to bridge across. This could be a situation that we were talking about, and he's taking advantage of this uphill for exactly that. You can see the blue Tron bike there just ahead of Boniface now. 6.2 watts per kilogram coming from Boniface, looking to be consistent. Hodges has 2 seconds. Now Pod's line from Team Experimental taking over the front. McQuaid now knowing that this may be a moment of truth from Team Draft here, looking to try and go across in the red kit. Evenson here now toward the front out of Norway now for the, it looks like, is that an AHDR kit I'm seeing there with the Giants? Not sure. No, it's a Zwift kit, excuse me. But it's going to be also BRT toward the front here out of the Netherlands. Lots of riders just looking to push the pace, bring that snowball effect of the blob, of this crazy almost Himalayan snowball effect going on here from these riders now. And it's going to be Rhineland for Kirchner Cycling taking over toward the front, and now Dig Deep coaching. Dan Fleeman as well. Hodges is there. Big win from him in the Fusion race yesterday. He's also taking over at the front. Actually, looks like Hodges, I have a feeling he's just sitting in at this point, letting everybody else do the work. Boniface looks like he is going to be caught as the firepower from some of the most elite men out on Zwift is taking over. Lionel Viasa now, 3.8, backing off, just making sure that he's in the right position to not get dropped off on this uphill section onto their, I believe, third lap out on the Duchy Estate. 12 laps is what we're looking at, 40.5 kilometers in total, and it is race number 4 in the Dbr Heino Cup here. Back in with the women now. We're looking at 17th place here with Jarhead now. Nobody really, it looks like one more has bitten the dust here from the Danish bike riders. It does look like D. Wilson from the Vixen team, as well as the DBR team here with Lagesson here trying to hang on, but it does not look like it's going to be happening here, as it is a 6-second gap up to Vasquez riding for that Revo team out of Spain. And now on the back though of this group, 175 beats per minute currently coming from Victoria here, Vasquez. Daniela there as well, and it looks like Jay Wright from Revo sitting in and waiting for the next section of the course that might push the pace here a little bit as they head into this downhill in the women's race. Negative 5% grade on the front there. KRT now taking over. It is going to be C. Reed, and now Grobler backing off just a little bit. Team Draft now heading toward the front. She was off the back just a little bit earlier. Interesting to see that the Team Draft member now is starting to take over at the front. Looking a little bit more comfortable. Maybe he was just waiting for the right moment. But Van Rigemortel for the Canyon team up into 182 beats per minute. This is one of the stronger riders out on Zwift, riding for that professional team, Canyon ZCC, and 3.0 watts per kilogram here currently coming from the Canyon rider at 179 beats per minute. Obviously, it's been a very fast start. We are seeing Caroline Fox, good to see her for the Wahoo Esports team. We met her over at the UK National Championships as she jumped into that race. Had an amazing result as she was a late sign-up as one of the riders were not able to make it. So good to see Fox out there hammering away for Wahoo Esports team. I think she did end up with that signing with that team actually from that event as she met some of the teammates and I believe those who help run that team on site there. What an opportunity for Fox, and now she's jumping into this elite women's race here out on the Duchy Estate for their 12 laps here now. So 8th place now currently for Rigemortel as they head into the 6% uphill gradient here on to the punchier sections of the course. Bird now toward the front here, also for the Wahoo Esports team. Sharon Bird, one of the stronger riders too, also a participant in the UK National Championships. 4.9 toward the front for her, as nobody really looks to be taking any risks here at this point. It's kind of sitting in a little bit. Everybody's holding hands, maybe a little bit timid to take any kind of big risks just as of yet here. So calmed right on down. You know, we're in that 13-minute mark or so into the race, and a lot of times at this point, the initial kicks that we see start to back off. And these are good times to make some sort of a counter to the initial kicks, the initial how hard. I mean, the reality is if you're at VO2 max, right, you can really only hold that for 5, maybe push it out to 10 minutes with an over-under type situation. But at about that point, you have to back off. 10 minutes or so in, if you're way over your threshold, or and a lot of riders, they'll push it as hard as they possibly can for that first 10 minutes to try and make some sort of a break happen early on. And I think a lot of times you do see this lull in that 10 to 15 minute mark, because it's just like, all right, well, the attacks aren't working. This is who's going to be who's who. And that's why you see those initial breaks, especially in mountain bike CX races, as well as now Zwift races, I think, as well. Those initial breaks that do happen kind of bring the cream of the crop of who's going to make that lead pack, who's going to make the break. And you see that in those type of races that are shorter or that are just kind of all out from the get-go. Those kind of breaks do happen here. Grobler now pushing the pace at the front, looks like trying to really string things out. Now back in with the men's race, we head into that 2% uphill gradient, that initial kick, and then into the false flat here. And it's Villassen along with Ollie Jones that are really pushing the pace. They got a little bit of the gap. Look at how strung out this is. Looks like Madsen going across some Fusion ECT. It's going to be Evenson there as well. Looks like red jersey here. It looks like maybe Kolbs is there from the Heino team. Fleeman, dig deep coaching, riding solo for DDC out there today. Nobody else from DDC, but this is a man who can handle himself amongst any kind of pack. We've seen him win from groups like this before solo without any teammates, so do not count him out regardless. Pettinger's here now, forward. Vision with Ollie Jones coming across toward the front. Evenson taking over now with McQuaid from Team Draft there as well. Very quick little kick toward the front from the green and white jersey, actually. I think that's going to be Talbot there for Team Splunk now, as he's on the light blue Tron bike at 188 beats per minute on this downhill section. Anybody suffering off the back is going to be the question here at this point. Look at how strung out this got from those attacks from Canyon ZCC, but they may be suffering for it a little bit. Alex West toward the back, as we can see now. A few other riders now. This is not a bunched up group. They are really continuing to push the pace here. Pettinger at 5.1 watts per kilometer. Hodges looking to find a good wheel here. This section that we're looking at of this pack is the danger zone. And now as it starts to group back up, they will start to hold hands a little bit in those sections here. But look off the back here. A little bit of a kick coming from Simons now, from Evo Q now. Simons trying to get across. He's got to really push 7+ watts per kilogram to get back on terms. It's a 2-second gap. This is make it or break it here because of the speeds. And at the front, there's a break happening a little bit on the front end of the pack here at this point. They got to work together because this will be the end of their race if they do not. It's a race of meters at this point. It looks like they got the speed to bring it back, but Simons, he's losing the wheel here of Caesar's Pierre as well here for the Zwift Hispania team. So Sagi here off the back, Sagi wagon, that's what he's going to be, it looks like, at 1 second back from Simon's Evo Q. Riding for Evo Q bike here out of the US of A. Not going to be closing it down. 4.6 watts per kilogram. A couple of other riders that have fallen off. Rhineland's here as well for the Kirchmer Cycling. B. Olsen, Schaefer Kirchmer Cycling. Kirchmer Cycling with so many results, but they've got to get the high-end results because it looks like some of the fastest riders are starting to jump into the racing. And now as they head into this uphill, not going to be happening. This is where the orange numbers are starting to pop. And look at the back of this here. As we can see, 4.8. Sagi's there as well. We're seeing that it's just not going to happen. Simon's trying to get back on terms. Not going to be happening. No orange numbers from them. Von Deur is trying to get back on terms. Larson is there as well. It's not happening for them because on the front of this race now, it looks like it's going to be Talbot. No, it's going to be Larson as well. Clark now taking over. Jim McQuaid. No, Lionel Viasin, one of the most aggressive, most likely live streaming this race as well. 5.4 watts per kilogram coming from him. Orange numbers popping like crazy as riders are just falling like flies off the back. Boniface attacks again. This is nonstop, left and right, just haymaker after haymaker. It's solo riders trying to break, I think, the Canyon ZCC team, and everybody else just watching. Gavin Dempster is in there from Team Draft, winner of the finals in London, actually, a couple years back for we had the tax finals, tax UK finals actually over in London. Gavin Dempster took down that live finals actually. Amazing racing from him. Watch out for him as he comes into this season here for Team Draft. And it's cool to see Team Draft out there in the red kits again. You know, it's been a while and they've got a couple of racers in here. It's not just the solo efforts here. And this is a team to be watching out for. Team Draft, they are so extremely experienced in Zwift racing. And I have a feeling they maybe have been silent as of the couple of last weeks, but when we get into the serious races here, into the community races and then some of those program races that are coming, watch out for Team Draft to have some results because they know how to make things happen here. Dig Deep coaching out, making their way to the front. Now a little bit of attack on the right-hand turn and now backing off the 6.2 watts per kilogram. They know that they've whittled things down a little bit, so I think the riders perhaps are getting a little bit of a counter here. It was a holding hands moment, so I think Fleeman senses that some of the riders are like, okay, that was enough, and now Fleeman's going to take advantage of that, push at the 6.8 watts per kilogram, and try and float off the front here. One of those situations where he's not into orange numbers, but just enough to kind of make a break happen and slowly ep away. Gain 1 second here, 1 second there. This is kind of one of those situations where everybody's like, oh, it'll come back, and next thing you know, it's 30 seconds. And Fleeman, you know, this is a rider who used to race in the Pro Peloton in real life, and, you know, being a part of that World Tour scene, he's got the power to make it happen as well as the smarts. Knows how to manage his efforts, but it looks like it may not be happening on this downhill section as the pack brings him right back in. Back in with the women's racing as things calm down with the men. We did see a little bit of an attack coming through. Now back onto the front here, Cecilia Hansen taking over. A little bit of hand-holding happening here, it looks like, but coming on through, it looks like it will be Hubach as well as the Danish national champion now making her way to the front of the race with Hubach. But Bird's there still as well. A couple of riders did fall out. So it was the draft rider that we were talking about earlier. Unable to hang on to the pace. They're now backing off the 147 beats per minute currently, and that is going to be Adele here coming from Team Draft. She's actually a level 15 Zwifter here. It looks like has some solid results. Did 9 stages of dirt, it looks like, back on the 17th. Looking back at the races that she's been involved with recently, she's had a couple of podiums, but unable to hang on at the front end of this elite race here. But solid results, or solid effort here coming from Adele. For that Team Draft out here today. But we've got some of the fastest women, though, that have ever raced out on Zwift. National champions, racers that have been a part of a lot of live. I mean, I think half the pack perhaps at this point, maybe not half, but I mean maybe a quarter of the pack that's at the front end of this race right now have been involved in some sort of live invite event. Major championships, national championships, online championships out on Zwift. I mean, this is a serious pack of ladies here that is taking on this race. Looking through here now, it looks like to hang on at the front end of this race, to give you an idea amongst the women here right now, you'd have to put out at the highest watts per kilogram, 4.2 watts per kilogram coming from Sharon Bird for the Wahoo Esports team. We're looking at for, 4.2, 4.3 coming from Melanie King for Team CLS. I mean, some serious numbers being put out here amongst the ladies right now. And we're looking as far as the teams that are represented here at the front end of this race. We've got Team Revo there with Jamie Lee Wright, as well as Team Grobler at the front end. That's as well as it did look like Maria Victoria Vasquez, we mentioned earlier, falling off the back there. But that's the representation coming from Team Revo. Canyon's in there as well. Kristen Falk still hanging on. We do have a little bit of a break here coming from the Heino racer, Cecilia Hansen. She's the current series leader, I believe. 4.8 watts per kilogram off the front here right now. And watch out for her. If Cecilia Hansen gets away, we've seen a situation from Hansen where she has just walked away and TT'd her way to the finish for a win, and has done it in ways that almost looked effortless in the past year. 4.4 watts per kilogram. I do believe this is a steady attack off the front. May be able to make something happen here as they head into this 9% uphill grade. Interesting section to make it happen on, though. We do see Kristen Falk, 5.6 watts per kilogram toward the front for Canyon now, start to take over. And maybe going on the attack here. Hansen, no, Hubach. Hubach, another one from Heino. Maybe that was a setup there. The two national champions from the Heino team now. Hubach and Hansen maybe looking to try and get off the front of this race. 6.67 watts per kilogram come from Hubach now. 170 beats per minute, 434 watts. We're 16.3 kilometers in so far. She's got a 2-second gap, and this is another rider. The Heino team, so strong from the women's side of things. McKay for Team Turbo looking to get toward the front there and close things down. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. She's got 3 seconds. Hubach just rides away from everybody and says, come on, match my wattage. You're not going to be able to do it. 3.3 at the front of the women's pack here at this point. And Jarhead now doesn't seem to be able to respond. 195 beats per minute right now. This may be Hubach just breaking the rest of the pack now. Bird knows that this is the moment of truth here for Wahoo Esports team. Needs to get her team involved somehow. Looking to go across. She's got 7.2 watts per kilogram. Sharon Bird's going here. Hubach only 3 seconds now. Looks like Bird might make this juncture, but she's got to continue on. Hubach maybe even waiting up at this point saying, look, I don't want this solo TT off the front forever here. So Bird coming across now. Wahoo Esports team and Heino. Looks like it's going to be the situation, as it looks like everybody else just does not have a response. Revo on the front saying, nope, not me. And Bird jumps onto the wheel of Hubach. Hubach now, can she go with her? Bird might just come right on by. Backs off. No, it looks like they're going to work together at this point, actually, to come through that sprint section out on course here. So Sharon Bird and Luis Hubach, Wahoo Esports team, and Heino off the front now at this point. Downhill gradient, -6%, 12 seconds is the difference here. The BRT team with Nealon taking over at the front. Will they be able to take the snowball effect, take that freight train effect of the blob of the pack here, and use the downhill section to close this gap down here? 14 seconds. They're going to have to put some wattage out at the front. Doesn't look like there's a lot of interest, or maybe just not the ability to do so. Melanie King here toward the front for CLS, with Jay Wright also for Revo taking over. But you can see there isn't really a stringing out. The pack is all kind of coalescing together. They're switching spots very quickly between each other within that bunched up group. That gives you the idea that they're not really pressing the pace. They're not really using it as a as an echelon type situation, taking turns toward the front. Everyone's just kind of backing off and allowing the avatars to roll on to the front. To actually get the snowball effect, you kind of have to have 2 or 3 riders causing that V toward the front, the flying V, the mighty duck V toward the front, in order to kind of actually get that pack to start the snowball. And it's just not happening here. It looks like they may be allowing this to go. And the reality is, Heino's not going to chase. They got some of the stronger riders they've got some strong riders here with Hansen obviously in there. She's not going to chase her teammate down. And also, we also have with Wahoo Esports team with Caroline Fox. She's not going to be chasing that down either. Now back in with the men's race though, Lionel V. Austin on the attack. It looks like with Dan Fleeman trying to close this down. There's an attack through that section onto the false flat here. V. Austin did grab 4 seconds. Fleeman's trying to go across. Here it is. Dig Deep Coaching makes the juncture, and just like in the women's race, we've got a situation with 2 off the front. Now we've got 2 of the strongest riders ever we see in the community of Zwift racing now going off the front as well here. Vyastin, but can he match Dan Fleeman's effort? He tries to get the wheel here. Fleeman backs off the 5.6. It looks like they will work together, but Reichert here from Kirchmer Cycling now, 5.4, just steady on the front. Oh, now 10 watts per kilogram, a little more than steady as they head into the downhill sprint section. The speeds are really starting to ramp up here. 8.5 watts per kilogram. He's not looking to pull the rest of everybody across. He kind of like tricked everybody and said, no, I'll throw 5.0 on the front. Nope, just kidding. Let's throw 8. And he's going to go across. 4 seconds is the gap, and it looks like the rest of the pack is starting to struggle. There's been so many punches, so many haymakers thrown at everybody. Perhaps everybody's just put at their limit at this point. There's just nothing left in the legs. Some of these riders, though, are sitting in. They know that their teammates off the front. They're not going to make that chase. It is going to be Canyon ZCC that's going to sit in at this point. And I do believe KC with Kirchmer Cycling in the yellow kits that we're seeing, the yellow bikes there, they're not going to be making the chase as well. So it is going to be up to Fusion ECT, Vision, BRT, EvoQ, a few of the other, Draft as well that's out there, Turbo if they're in here as well. Those are the teams that are going to have to make the efforts, because Canyon's not going to chase. They got 10 seconds here and a group of 3, and it does look like they're working fairly well together off the front. Good to see everybody hanging out in the chat. This is the Heino Cup. We are focused in on the racing here with, this is one of the biggest series out on Zwift here at this point. If you're unfamiliar with the Heino Cup, it's been absolutely amazing to watch. This is the first time broadcasting it, but I've been paying attention over on ZwiftPower.com. 460 racers have signed up between all of the categories today. In the A category, we saw 100 men in the Elite A category today. We've seen 47 women jumping into the Elite category here for the women as well. Absolutely amazing to see all the riders jumping in here and focusing in on this series here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at, or a quick talk here about who's leading the series, where, how, and why. And, Canyon ZCC, I think they're just starting to focus in on this series here. We'll talk a little bit about the rules as well. It does look like the catch is going to be made with Reichert trying to make something happen, but it's going to be Boniface from ODZ now, Cobbs from Heino as well, just chasing there. It's going to be C. Ward, also from ETG team now, and they are going to be caught. It is perhaps going to whittle things down, though, toward the back end of this pack, as some of these riders are just trying to hang on. Latino with Leandro Messinil, the Poison Dart Frog here, maybe struggling a little bit. 184 beats per minute now. Pettinger from Vision. Look at this situation. The brakes are each and every lap. They snap off the back a little bit. And with how quickly these little punchers come at you on this course, it can kind of put, those who do not have the repeatable VO2s, the repeatable high-end punchy efforts, it can just put that heart rate in a place where I can't find recovery. back into another 6% uphill gradient, 1 second back, and the towel's got to be thrown. Duffy's gone. Lopez is gone. Hodge is just hanging on the back here. He's going to push 7 watts per kilogram to get back toward the front, but look at this, Messineo 8 watts per kilogram. Again, riders every single lap struggling to hang on as they continue to just throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at this group here. Ollie Jones, Alex West still in there. Canyon ZCC, Larry Vias been on the attacks over and over again. And now off the front here, Boniface, maybe most aggressive rider on the day here, continues to push the pace for Team ODZ. Back in with the women's situation here. They were gaining over 10 seconds at one point. Bird, Hubach there. Looks like Watmore from Revo got across to the riders there as well. But 2 seconds here at this point. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening. Watmore actually from Revo is a lapped rider who's working together a little bit with them, trying to hang on. But it looks like they are going to be caught here as Revo put in a solid effort toward the front. Grobler now with Hansen and Heino. There might be a counterattack coming from Cecilia Hansen as they do catch her teammate as they head into this uphill 5% gradient. 5.9 watts per kilogram coming from her. And it does look like that's exactly what's going to be happening here. McKay from Turbo covers it pretty quickly, though, as we can see. Hubach backing off there from the Heino team. And looks like it's all going to stay together, though, for the moment, as the ladies head on through toward the sprint section for them here in just a moment. But McKay from Turbo taking over toward the front. Bird now, as she got caught, backs off at 1.5 watts per kilogram as the speeds come on through on that downhill section. KRT still involved here with C. Reed as they back off. Fox there as well. Everybody kind of just holding hands, waiting for who's going to make the next move, as that looked like a serious, intense chase with that breakaway. I thought it might have stuck with Heino off the front as well as WET, but Sharon Bird and it looked like Hubach unable to make that happen. Back into another attack, though. It looks like Kristen Falk and the 3.5, 5.2 watts per kilogram. Not the orange numbers that we saw, though, from the likes of the Heino team there. Now Canyon ZCC trying to take over toward the front, it looks like, with Reagan Mortal now 4.8 watts per kilogram, 6.8 watts per kilogram here coming from the CLS rider Melanie King. Last time we looked at Reagan Mortal's heart rate, though, it was pretty far up there, still up into the 189. This has been an absolute sufferfest, it looks like, for the Canyon ZCC rider. Now McKay for Turbo here heading toward the front. Hansen for Heino now taking over as well. CLS now in that yellow Tron bike now, backing off just a little bit. Looks like the riders here going back into a little bit of a rest, looking for this 2% uphill gradient that they are on each and every lap to not really use it at this point. They did get a breakaway on it last lap, but it looks like at this point they're just going to back off and have some patience and wait for the next section, of course, to really make something happen. So we do have a little bit of a lull in the racing. There was a lot of intensity coming at us just a moment ago. Back in with the men's race, you can see it's all bunched up here. Looking at 8th place with Kirchner cycling here, and on the front it is Ollie Jones at 2.2. So obviously the racers, okay, we can't just continually do a million watts all day long here. So backing on off. Again, the series standings right now amongst the men for the A category. Stephen Kirschmer, we did just see him a moment ago on screen. He's currently leading things out. He's got 90 points with 3 events in. Igor Kolbs is sitting in 2nd place with 3 events at 63 points. Johanna Sermon for Kirschman Cycling is there as well. Gavin Dempster now is going. I'm not sure if Dempster is in this series over. I believe this may be his first event here, but Dempster is one that they're going to be watching out for. He's not somebody that anybody's just going to wink at and say, he'll come on back pretty easily, as he's got a serious kick as well as a very serious time trial. But Hodge is here from the KRT team now taking over toward the front. Back into that, again, the 2% uphill gradient. This is that section, of course, always need to be watching out for, because somebody can just kind of put the pressure on. TT on the front, and the rest of the pack has to match somewhat of the effort of the rider that is on the front. Delthorpe now from Velo 1. Haven't seen much from him so far. He's been sitting in a lot, it looks like. Clark from the BRT team toward the front end as well. It looks like trying to make sure the position is correct so he does not get dropped off, not really looking to take over at the front. That's what it's all about in Zwift racing. Positioning is so incredibly important each and every lap. You know, as far as racing goes, you know, in crit racing, similar situations, a lot of times mountain bike racing, even CX racing, positioning is so incredibly important. Road racing, it's important, but the crucialness of in road racing, you know, the timing, yes, it's there in road racing, but you know, in Zwift racing, I'd liken it to crit type situations where you could find yourself in a split so incredibly quickly, especially on a course like this, that you really need to watch out and make sure that you are in the right place at the right time. And that's why a lot of these riders will put out a little bit extra effort to make sure they're in this, where Nigel Clark is right now, this top 10 or so situation here toward the front end of this pack, always kind of rotating, moving forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. They're always kind of looking for that in these races here. So if you're not, you can find yourself in that elastic snap you can see in the middle of the packs here. You can see at the back there as well, the Vision rider, as well as the Fusion ECT rider, or no, it's actually Zimmerman for Evo Q bike. You know, that's a precarious situation to be in, or spot to be in, because if it does snap off the back, and you also have to put out a little extra effort each time you do have to kick toward the front. It's almost better to have that steady, higher wattage sometimes toward the front end of the group to try and keep things under control. As you can see, Clark here rotating toward the front. Now it's another Evo Q there. I believe that's actually going to be Messineo toward the front there. Not sure. Now getting into this downhill section, riders using that aero tuck that does give them an aero boost actually. Dempster now heading toward the front for Team Draft, as you can see. And we've got plenty of riders still involved. Back in with the series overall situation, Steven Kirchberg, Igor Kopps are all still involved here. But Lionel Vyazin with only 2 races, 53 points right now. Vyazin with the second place. It looks like from, I believe that's going to be last week that he raced this year. So Vyazin there looking to try and get on the podium. He's currently tied actually for 3rd out here amongst the men. Alexis Kalman out there for Fusion there with 50 points with 2 races in. Martin Hammer Larson is out there as well, sitting in, looks like 6th place now. And now we do have a little bit of attack though going off the front here. It looks like it will be Tepping here coming out of the Netherlands. Hodges follows it up as they head into this downhill section. 30.7 kilometers into the race. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 more climbs, 3 more of these uphill punchers before that we head into the final few K for the finish line. We are into lap number 10 of 12 out here today. And in order to hang on, to give you an idea of how incredibly fast this racing has been so far, in order to hang on toward the front end, it's been 5.1 watts per kilogram coming from the Dutch racing rider there, Jarno Vader. Crazy amounts of power coming from them. The lowest that's been sitting in, watch out for Igor Kopps at the finish line. 4.3 watts per kilogram I've seen from him. 4.3 from quite a few actually that have been sitting in. Leandro Messineo, I think, as well, sitting in, waiting for the final sprint. I think some of these riders have been trying to break this group specifically because there's been riders sitting in like that. Now we are seeing toward the front, Dempster trying to take over for the draft team. I did see Jay McQuaid sitting in. Maybe they're waiting for the sprint for him. Dan Fleeman does not want a sprint situation. He's been attacking continually here. Alex West maybe thinking the Dig Deep coach is going to go off the front. As you can see, 7.6 watts per kilogram to him. West now just trying to hang on. Still a 2% uphill gradient, as you can see here. Hodges now 5.3. Steady effort here. Fleeman not able to break him at 7 watts per kilogram. That's absolutely insane. 500 watts, and this group being pulled along. But look behind. It is doing damage. I mean, Fleeman and the rest of these boys who've been putting these attacks on, it's not like it's not putting these the rest of the riders on the back foot. Nigel Clark here, they get a gap. He's got 1 second here at this point, maybe able to make something happen. Vision here toward the front here, 5-6 now on the front. Reichert now for KC. Kirchberg Cycling looking to take over and maybe do a solid effort to try and make something happen for the likes of Kirchberg Cycling. And you know, Steven Kirchberg, he's the current series leader for this Heino Cup. It looks to be working for him right now fairly well. Toward the front here, it is going to be still a 3-second gap. Fleeman backing off though 1.4. I think he's figured out that this is just most likely not going to be happening for this main group. So back in with the women, though, there is a break that is taking place, it looks like, and it is going to be, I believe, Grobler toward the front here. Let's go ahead and jump in with the women's racing. We're getting a little bit of a struggle here with our images here. We'll see if we can jump back in with them. We have, you guys, I apologize. I'll see if I can jump back in with the women's race, but we've had one of our feeds crash here for just a moment, but I should be able to catch them for their finish before they come across line. It is 12 laps for the women, so we should be able to find them out on course with this feed. We'll be following along over on zwiftpower.com, but we had one of our main women's feed did just crash for you guys. Apologies on that. We will jump back in with them. As I was looking at it, though, it did look like there was a break taking place with them. I'll keep up with it on zwiftpower.com. We'll make sure to give the shout-outs there. It did look like Grobler did make the break. It did look like there was a Canadian ZCC rider in there as well. Let's go ahead and take a look very quickly over at zwiftpower.com as we head into these final 2 laps here for the men's race. Seaward to the front, really trying to take over. He's been quiet so far for most of the race here. Now line of the Austin there toward the front, 8.3 watts per kilogram. It's going to be Nigel Clark, Patillo for Vision as well. Evenson, Hodges, Kirchmer still in there, Pettinger, Larson, Vader for Dutch Racing. That's the current situation. Now there is, it looks like, from what I can tell, in the women's race right now for the live situation, Louise Hobach in a break with Cecilia Hansen, Kristen Falk, Marlene Jarhead, Melanie King is in there. Straight Danielia is right unattached out there. Sharon Bird has made the group, looks like, as well as Tina Grobler, but there's a gap back to Jamie Lee Wright for Revo has fallen off the back. It looks like Claire Reed for the KRT team, as well as Eva Buchholz. It's interesting to see Eva, one of the stronger riders. Must have been a serious effort there, but Kristen Falk has made the group, so Canadian ZCC still involved there toward the front of the women's race. We will find them as soon as the men finish up. We should be able to find them out on course with this event here that we are currently in for the men. We'll be able to catch, I hope we'll be able to catch their finish before they get to the line. Again, apologies, but our feed for the women's race did just die for us, just completely died. So apologies again, and we'll make sure to jump in there with the this feed right here. Toward the front though, Lion of Yasin, 5.2 watts per kilogram coming from him. Velo One Cycling, Madsen's there as well. Hodge is still hanging in tough on to the false flat here now at this point. Looks like taking over to the front is going to be Kirchmer now. We still have, it looks like 20 plus riders as Mortensen from the DBR, 23 riders actually it looks like, as the draft team go toward the back. Quaid is here still. Dempster here now toward the back. Look at draft here hanging out the back. Maybe just saying, you know, this section of the course, you just sit in and it doesn't look like anybody's really on the attack. It's kind of a smart move actually, because it's going to be a downhill here in a second. As long as they do not allow any gaps to go, they will get the benefit of the group pulling them along through the downhill. Negative 2% grade. Tepping just tapping away at a solid effort at the front, but no more attacks. Looks like they're really starting to think about the sprint at the finish line here at this point. They will be heading in just a moment into their uphill grind in just a second to finish up lap number 10. Lap number 10, it'll be 2 more laps to go here as they head into 11 and 12 now. 35 kilometer mark. There's going to be a total of, it looks like, from what I can tell here, interesting to see, as I'm seeing 38 kilometers actually total according to zwiftpower.com. On the Zwift app, I'm seeing 40.5. But according to zwiftpower.com, we're looking at 38. So perhaps I think maybe a little bit closer to the finish line than we originally were saying here. We have a little bit of discrepancy between the two trackers here. But from what we can tell right now, it does look like it is going to be 38 total, I believe, here, as we've got 2K to go. Then is it really 2K to go? These guys, it does look like they're lining up as if it is 2K to go. Waiting for the live tracker to update over on zwiftpower.com for the A category at this point. 600 meters, thanks a lot, appreciate that, Aaron, as chatting away here with us. Darren, good to see you. Something Danish being DBR, I suspect maybe something to do with Heino dissing. No idea, to be honest. Yeah, I'm interested as well. I'd be love to know, what does Heino stand for. I actually, as a commentator, I haven't done my homework. I should know that, right? Like, I mean, that is an absolutely logical question to be asking. I've actually been wondering it myself and just didn't put the effort in to figure out exactly what it is, but I appreciate the questions. Keep the questions. Let's hear your predictions because we're about to finish up the race here in just, I believe, about a K and a half to go or so. So let's hear your predictions. Who's going to take the win out here today? Vyazin, he's been focused. I've seen him chatting on his socials here. He's been extremely aggressive so far, but he's put out a lot of efforts in this race already here. So I have a feeling it may be a difficult situation for him to try and get the win out here. Dig Deep coaching with Dan Fleeman. He's still involved here. Never want to be counted out, but with the kind of efforts that he's put out so far, he's put out almost 4.9 watts per kilogram for the duration of the race here. Going to be very difficult, I think, with that kind of effort so far to try and sprint with the rest of the riders that have been sitting in a little bit more. Boniface now toward the front, Morris for Velocio. It's going to be Boniface, though, on the attack. David from PLCC. PLCC always seems to really wait for these moments later in the race here. David, to try and make something happen. Now it's going to be DDC heading toward the front again, trying to take over. Look at the riders falling off. Hodges says, I'm throwing the cake in. Time to go grab a fork, actually, and get it out of the oven. He cooked it plenty here, but it looks like it's time to eat as the KRT off the back with Hodges. Now Flumen, it looks like taking over at the front with Boniface. Backing off 3.5 watts per kilogram as another one bites the dust at the back of this group. Now Messineo here, he's been so incredibly quiet up until this point. Too bad to see, but too bad to see Hodges off the back, but Messineo now going toward the front as Hodges falls off the back. Holly Jones, 4.14 watts per kilogram, 1,000 watts right now. Jones looking to get away here at this point into the downhill speed, 57 kilometers per hour. Boniface knows this is a threat. Zimmerman is going as well. 14 watts per kilogram here coming from Zimmerman. Zimmerman trying to come across here at this point. Is it going to happen? And it looks like Reichert now from KC. Kirchberg cycling across the line, but he gets he gets the flag at that point, and it looks like it might have been Riker, but he gets flagged. We'll see what happens. And that was the sprint to the line. Kirchberg cycling, looking to make it happen, but we'll have to wait and see how it ended up playing out for the results here. We'll wait for zwippower.com to update in just a second here. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and see if we can jump back in with the ladies race. I did see Sharon Bird from WET. There it is. We're back in with the ladies, and they're off the front. Look at how quickly we made that happen. Jumped right back in with them. Well, let's check out the men's situation in just a second, but KC Kirchberg cycling, there was a flag there at the end, so a little bit of a, throwing the red flag, or is it a yellow flag? I'm not sure as far as Zwift goes, but there was definitely a penalty on course for a moment. We'll see what Heino Cup and the DBR team do with that as the organizers. It's a community race. It's up to the organizers as far as what the results are going to end up being on the day here, but it was an interesting sprint to the line there that we did just see, and we'll have to wait and see how it ended up playing out. We do have a break off the front here. We see Daniela and Hansen now trying to make a chase, but Heino's not going to chase them down here. It's a group of three, group of three here trying to make that chase. See Hansen, Daniela's there as well, and one other rider here actually not a part of the event as we can see. But Bird and Hubach are off the front. Interesting to see. These are two of the strongest riders we've ever seen out on Zwift. They've got another 4K to go or so to the line. They're taking poles at the front here. It's going to be Grobler here from Revo, also in a chase situation with Melanie King from CLS. 184 Beast Marine currently coming from them. All in. Hansen now on the attack, looking to go across, trying to drop off Daniela, looking to make Team Heino go maybe for a 1-2 on the podium. Hansen's going to have to get across very quickly. 7% uphill gradient here coming from Cecilia Hansen with 9 watts per kilogram right now. Daniela just trying to hang on, 6.8 watts per kilogram. She's spinning to win. Look at the RPMs, 119 revolutions per minute. But Hansen on the attack goes across almost. But Bird's like, no, I don't want to go 1-2 against Heino at this point. 2 national champions looking to chase her down. Bird not far off a national championship. Was involved in the UK National Championships. I believe she was right up there looking for the win, actually, in that, I think she was with a top 3 situation in the UK National Championships for Zwift live finals. But Bird here right now with Huback on the wheel, unable to break her, and Heino now with 2 riders in this break looking to take down the Wahoo Esports team. Look at this women's racing out on Zwift at its best. Bird backs off, looking for a wheel here. Will there be a counter attack here from the Heino team now as Hansen, 7.6 watts per kilogram. Huback now looking to go. The Danish national champion now looking to try and break the likes of the Wahoo Esports team rider. That is Sharon Bird. 6.8 coming from her. Bird looking to hang onto the wheel. It's just going to be this, oh man, it's going to be cat and mouse here at this point for them. They're going to pull the 1-2 on Sharon Bird. One's going to go, the other's going to sit. One's going to go, the other's going to sit. It looks like Heino's got the tactics. Bird might have the watts here, though, to hang on as she sits in at 5.8 watts per kilogram now with about 3K to go. And now the chase is still on, though. Melanie King here and now picking up the pace. 4.8 here coming from her. Grobler sitting in 4.5 from Team Revo here out of the UK. The rider out of the US here for CLS now pushing. Look at the grind here on this 5% uphill grade. Obviously on a smart trainer now. 65 RPMs for Melanie King right now. It is a 25-second gap up to Daniela. Daniela, though, as they back off, this rider, consistency is the name of the game for Daniela now as she continues to show her strength here. She may not have the kick that we saw from the likes of Huback and Hansen, but she's got the steady effort here, obviously, as a straight Daniela right now is absolutely demolishing. She's put out a solid 3.4 watts per kilogram so far. She's a level 25 Zwifter coming out of Romania here. And has she been focusing in on this series is the question. Where does she sit in the series overall is going to be my next question. Figure out whether or not this rider is a threat in the league right now, and if these riders are really going to be thinking about whether or not, what's the past results here coming from Daniela in this series. Straight Daniela there, she's got 1 result, 24 points. That means she took, it looks like, top 10 in the last race here, so this is going to be a better result for her in this race if she's able to stick with this group out here. Again, Cecilia Hansen, the current series leader. Vicky Whitelaw for Heino RT did not show up today, it looks like, but she's currently sitting in second. She's going to be dropping in the series overalls because of that. 2 races in is going to be Louise Huback. Huback without a win, actually, though, in this series. She's got 42 points. Huback here, the Danish national champion, 3.0 watts per kilogram currently coming from her. Huback looking to get herself into a top 5 situation here. Point structure, just so everybody knows, it is a very widespread point structure, actually. First place, 30 points, 29, 28, 27. It's actually all the way down through the top 30 get a 1-point difference all the way through. So if you get first place, it's 30 points. All the way down to 30th place, you get 1 point. So that's the point structure. Culling is enabled in the Zwift Power. So if you do go over category limits or you get flagged for something, it will most likely call you from the results. So situation here, though, with Sharon Bird, in this race here. Bird with 1 race so far. She hit 27 points, so she took 4th last time she raced out here. She's only got 1 race in so far for the Heino Cup here. But Sharon Bird looking to maybe get a better result and grab a 30 points and jump herself up into the standings here in this series. Now, your team's best 8 races count for the races out here. So your best 8 out of all of the races in this series. I'll have to do a little bit of more research here because, I'm just jumping in here. It's going to be 10 races. 10 races to your best 8 of the 10. So these riders who are just jumping in for the 4th race, it's going to be difficult for them to really have a result in the racing here without some sort of crazy results week in and week out. But we are kind of seeing a situation where that may happen with some of these stronger women, actually. I mean, Bird, Hansen, Huback, they are walking away with this, and they keep getting 30 points over and over again. It may be able, regardless of how many that they've done, if they have consistency throughout the rest of the 10 races, 6 races may be able to make it happen for the like of Sharon Bird, who's obviously showing she's one of the strongest out on Zwift. Now, we do have a situation of 4 riders off the front. Who is going to take the win for the women? Let us know what you think here. We are coming into the final kicks in just a moment here. Huback now for 9.5 watts per kilogram. this is the moment here into the 6% uphill grade. She's not looking for an all-out sprint finish. You can see the sprint banner here is just a little ways ahead. There's the green up ahead here. This is for the win here at this point. Hubach's got the gap. Bird's got to close it down here now. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening here. 5.6 watts per kilogram. I think Bird is at her limit, just allowing Hubach to go. Hubach's got 2 seconds now, and this may be the winning move here. We're 37.5 in. I believe we're within about 500 meters or so. Just around the corner, I think that is the finish. And it's Bird now who's just completely broken. Hansen's just watching as her teammate goes away. Hubach here from Heino, 6.2 watts per kilogram. Sharon Bird is going to have to go up against Cecilia Hansen. Cecilia Hansen, the current series leader, being the sacrificial lamb for her teammate, maybe in communication in a Discord channel at this point saying, I just don't have it. Go ahead, take the win, and Hubach is going to do just that. She walks away. She shows why she's one of the strongest women out in the Zwift racing world here. 5.29 watts per kilogram, rounds the corner. She's got time to put her hands in the air. Amazing, amazing result here for Team Heino. WET trying to make something happen. Wahoo Esports team is just getting the rope here from Team Heino at this point. Across the line in just a moment here, Hubach is going to take the win. Bird here now opening things up here now, looking to try and hang on to Hansen's wheel. Hansen from Heino now going, and it's going to be a 1-2 for Heino across the line. Amazing result for Heino as Bird takes out second place. Great job all around for the riders, though. And women's racing out on Zwift at its absolute best. That's your top 3 situation. We'll wait for the finish here in just a second. We may be able to grab the rest of the riders in the women's race here. I believe we do have Marlene Jarhead here. We may be able to grab her as they are heading toward their finish in just a second. Let's take a quick look, though, at the men's finish here as it opened up with Ollie Jones hammering away. 12 watt per kilogram kick there. Zimmerman looks to go across there. Look at Zimmerman, 14 watts per kilogram, but Kirchner there up into 15 watts per kilogram. And it's KC with those crazy watts. Look at the yellow kids coming through here. Reichert there from Kirchner Cycling going. They just come right over the top there. 775 watts. Solid kick there to the line. It looks like it was KC 1-2. Alex West there, it looks like, I believe, able to take down. It was the 3rd place. Let's go ahead and reverse that up here real quick and take another look at it. And lots of cones coming on through, though. We'll have to wait and see what the officials have to say about all the cones coming through. But look at KC Kirchner Cycling coming through here. This is the situation to the line. 12 watts per kilogram, 184 beats per minute. Reichert, KC, and then it was Zimmerman, actually, Evo Q, followed by Ollie Jones in 4th. Lots of Canyon riders there at the back end of the group, actually. So solid result there coming through for the riders. Let's go ahead and, we'll wait and see what the official results that do come through for the race organizers. Let's take a quick look, though, at the women's situation. Hubach, I mean, what more is there to say? She walked away with it, no problem whatsoever. But then it was a sprint behind there as we saw Sharon Bird open up into 12 watts per kilogram quickly there, 9 watts per kilogram. But Hansen was sitting in. She had 9 watts per kilogram to give, and she was able to come over the top there, obviously. Daniela, looks like, coming through, I believe, in 4th place. Solid results there for the women's side of the racing. So Heino Cup, if you haven't gotten into it, make sure you do so. That's going to be the elite race. I'm Nathan Guerra, ZCL here at Zwift Community Live. All the community races at the highest level that we have, this is what we're covering here. And the Heino Cup is definitely on that for sure. We saw 460, I believe it was, racers sign up between all of the categories. 12 laps today out on the Dutchy Estate, Yorkshire UCI 2019 World. Looking at the results right now over on ZwipPower.com. We do not have the results images right this moment. We're going to try and have them for you next week. This was a last minute, we're going to start covering this with some of the things that are happening with our Tuesday races. But obviously, this is where it's at. I'm so glad that it got put on our radar here. But as far as the results go, let's go ahead and jump right on in. And you can see Stephen Kirchner Crossing the line, followed by Ingo Reichert. Adam Zimmerman does take that third place, it looks like. Now, these are preliminary results that we have to wait for the race organizers to tidy anything up that needs to be tidied up. But preliminary results over at ZwipPower.com. Again, Steven Kirchner, Ingo Reichert, Adam Zimmerman, Ollie Jones for fourth. Then it's going to be Dan Fluman for fifth. Leandro Messinillo, the Poison Dark Flag, nice job for him in there for sixth. He's starting to make himself known again there in the Zwift season that's ramping up here. Brian Hodges, interesting to see. We saw him just walk away yesterday with that fusion sprint. Maybe a little bit too much effort yesterday on the Innsbruck ring for those 5 laps here. So Brian Hodges there was 7th place. But Evo Q, they did a good job there, getting 1 for 7th and 3rd with Ahmed Zimmerman, obviously. Canyon ZCC 8th and 9th with Lionel Vyazin. Vyazin maybe a couple too many efforts, man. That guy was absolutely hammered up the front. Fleeman as well, though, held down for 5th. Amazing to see. And then it will be 10th place with Igor Kulps. I think we may see some change-ups in the overall with these points that are going to be gained there for Canyon ZCC and a few of the others in the top 10. Steven Kirchner, though, showing why he's currently winning the series out there today here. So jumping in with the results here for the women's side of things, if we can find it, it does look like it will be Louise Hubach. As we saw in there, that walkaway, she was able to win by 7 seconds there over Cecilia Hansen. Hansen took 3rd place, followed by Sharon Bird, and then it was a straight Daniela there coming through for 4th place. Wahoo Esports and Heino RT, though, all on the podium, it looks like. Melanie King for CLS was able to take that sprint over Tina Grobler. It was a solid effort. Right to the line, it looks like, with only a 0.2 of a second difference between the Revo rider and the Team CLS rider. Then it was Claire Reed for the KRT team, called up by Kristen Falk. Very aggressive rider by Kristen Falk and the Canyon ZCC team, but unable to make it happen when the screws were really turned at the pointy end of the race. Jamie Lee for Revo for 9th place, and Vicky Nealon for the Brat Pack out there in 10th. Vicky Nealon, interesting to see. We'll see if she can get some results going on there, as I believe Nealon's currently sitting in 3rd, so that's going to drop her a little bit, I think, as some of these other ladies are starting to show up for the races. And we're going to see some change-ups, I think, for next week in the series overall. Again, Heino Cup Wednesdays. Make sure to sign up next week. Next thing coming up is going to be on Zwift Live. It's a Zwift-owned production, so that will be on the Zwift Live Facebook and their spaces. We are live, though, here with Zwift Community Live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Mixer. Make sure to go follow on your favorite platform. You can head over on ZwiftCommunityLive.com anytime. Hit the follow button over there. You can also see the times that we are going live over there, as well as the schedule. If you want to find the VOD, best place to go is over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button to catch anything that isn't live for these races. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, great job to all of the racers out there. Always good to see all of you hammering away. Love commentating on all of your efforts. And that's going to be it for me today. We'll see you tomorrow for the Lamb Chop Racing. It's going to be 7 p.m. GMT for the women's race, 7:45 p.m. GMT for the open race, open to everybody. Lamb Chop Racing, handicap racing, any category can win. If you're a D category rider, you're an A category rider. Because of the handicaps, the Chop Racing, it's in partnership with Black Sheep Cycling Apparel. You can get that kit and game by doing the events. Pretty awesome. So C, D, B, A category riders, your opportunity to win against some of the best racers out there, as well as hammer away with a bunch of people within similar ability levels out on Zwift tomorrow. So make sure to sign up for the Lamb Chop. There's also an America's Race that will not be broadcast. That's going to be Eastern Time, 7 p.m. and 7:45 as well for the Lamb Chop tomorrow on Thursday. Again, I'm Nathan Garrett, Zwift Community Live. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Ride on.